Hello. Right now, I'm going to talk about something that is a little bit of a departure for what I usually talk about, um, food safety. This has to do with the skill set of a bartender. And New England Food Safety offers a number of classes that deal with safe service and bartending skills. But lo and behold, it's one of those things where a lot of times people are thrown into the fire without maybe knowing what to expect. They like the idea of being a bartender, and then all of a sudden, when the time is to go live, they said, "What the heck?" And a reasonable question, which comes up from time to time, might be, what is the average salary of a bartender? Now, depending upon the markets that you are working in, that's going to range anywhere between 25,000 up to over 100,000. It just really depends upon your skill set, the market that you're serving, the types of drinks that you're pouring. And as you're progressing down the field, there's always a good spot, or there's always a spot available for a good bartender. Um, you might look to build your resume. And if you're trying to get into one of those higher end areas that bartenders tend to capture a lot of money at the end of the night, then you're going to need to have a stellar resume. And the first one is probably, goes without saying, you need to know what you're making. Your understanding and knowing the drinks, that's going to go a long way. And, differentiating yourself from, let's say, the bar or the establishment right across the street, that's huge. But before you start to have dreams of being the person in cocktail, uh, you need to know some basic drinks. And if you want a list of some of the more popular drinks, easy ones to make, but kind of staples to have, you can always email us, and we've got some good recipes. The duties of the bartender, well, they're pretty extensive. I think you've got to be good with cash management. You've got to keep a neat and cleanly, bar. You've got to be able to keep track of inventory. There's a lot of things to keep straight, and in doing that, you have to know how to run the equipment, close the bar at the end of the night, those sorts of things. But at the end of the night, it might be hard to know what skills to include on your resume. So, I think that any bartending class or anything like that that's worth its weight in salt, we'll go over them. But the first and foremost will be a strong memory. You've got to be able to remember A, who ordered the drink, B, what goes in the drink, and then C, the name of the drink. So if you don't know what the name of the drink is, it might have something, a different name in a different establishment, ask. Those sorts of things. And, number two would be communication. You've got to be able to communicate with the customers. If you haven't seen the show Cheers, I'd recommend it. But you've got to be able to communicate with the staff as well. If orders are coming in and there's no real way to sort them out, you've got to be able to follow that up. There's going to be maybe problems sometimes closing out a tab. Maybe somebody left the credit card and the tab is still open, or somebody's putting drinks in somebody else's tab, those sorts of things. And you've got to have the wherewithal and the confidence to be able to sort those things out. Third, we already mentioned, but it's worth mentioning again, is the mixology aspect of that. Start with the basics. You got to walk before you can run. Really important there. And then, another thing would be teamwork. You want to be able to include that on your resume. So the ability to manage a staff of 20 if it's a big establishment, if you're on the weekends or those sorts of things, what are the aspects of your job which you do on a day in and day out basis, which differentiate you from somebody that's just there to pick up a paycheck or collect some easy cash. I think the another aspect would be flexibility. You've got to be able to change schedules, or you've got to be able to adapt. Sometimes you can't be rigid in your ways, except for when it comes to IDing or overpouring, those sorts of things. You got to know when to suggest a different drink, Maybe there might be an emphasis on a particular type of spirit. Depends. If somebody's coming in and they've asked for something, and then you're out, you have a reasonable similar drink ready to go. Uh, Another aspect would be organization. You've got to be extremely organized. That goes for almost every single profession out there, but even more so in a lifetime environment such as bartending. A seven would be friendliness. Even when you have to cut somebody off, it's very, very important to not personalize it. You don't want it to be what they call an ad hominem attack. You want them to, give them reasons if you do shut them down, why you can't serve them, because they're going to want to know, and it's more likely to diffuse a difficult situation. For those, if that's not the issue, and you just want to be able to keep people drinking safe and responsibly at the bar, enjoying profitable sales, and then probably arguably one of the most, not arguably, one of the most important aspects is the cash management. So if somebody says make it a stiff one, that doesn't mean you make it a stiff one. Aside from the implied liability and the danger that the establishment you might be putting the establishment into, it's also unprofitable, and there's a whole show that's dedicated to bars that are on the teetering brink of falling through the floor, and a lot of times it's as simple as the bartenders skimming cash or overpouring. And then the last aspect, I think, would be composure. And how you articulate those aspects on a resume can be tricky, but if you do get into a situation where you want to see some very good resumes of bartenders, again, feel free to reach out to New England Food Safety, and we'll send you some that maybe you can use as a guideline. We hope to hear from you, and if you're interested in booking a class on a tips class or a serve safe alcohol class, either in English or Spanish, reach out to us. We'd be happy to do it. Take care.